Creager with Creager Equipment. Today we're going to talk about this Jenkins brush hog. This is the Super Duty direct drive mower. This is a 7-foot. I'm going to show you a couple of features on it. Come on over here. So I'll show you a little video in a little bit, but this has a floating deck here. So whenever we're mowing, you're going to be up here a little about midway, so that if you hit a rock or a stump, that you can jump over that. It also allows the deck to tilt back and forth as you're moving along, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. So that mechanism will allow this to kind of tilt back and forth as you're going along. You're going to roll on this back roller right here. Picture that. That roller, when you put it down, you get it in position, you're going to lean that back just a little. All your weight will be back on this big rolling pin that goes all the way across. These straps help to support the weight of the machine so it doesn't bounce. And what that gives you is something that's very, very productive, because you can just go pretty fast in areas like this, and it's going to go with the ground and it's going to cut. The other thing that's great about it is when you're moving, not a bunch of weight on the machine. However, when you need the weight, like for this tank dam over here that we're going to go up in a minute, all that weight up in front of you is great counterbalance. So you can go places with this that you would never think about going with a normal brush mulcher, because all the weight's up by the machine. Thinking about how this is a great counterweight when you're doing things like this tank dam right here, that's pretty steep. So going up that with this weight in front of us allows us to kind of go up, keep it in front of us, and crest it. I can mow all the way up. I can turn around, I can mow coming down. So I'm going to give you an example of that right now. Another great thing about this is it is so long that it does stick out a long ways in front of the machine. So for areas like this where we've got fairly level pond, and then it slopes down to the water here, and then I have brush, some of which is already hanging into the water, I can get out and I can cut that up pretty good. Again, with a forestry mulcher, I can take this down. Maybe I could do it this way, but it might be a little soft. You get your wheels into there, you can get into some trouble real quick. So this is a much better option for things like this where you have brush overhanging into the water. So here's some sumac and some blackjack oak. It's on the side of this tank dam, and again, that's kind of difficult to deal with sometimes. It is a decent drop off. You can see as I'm walking along here how I am getting quite a bit lower. A little steeper back there. Fairly thick. Come on up here, William. Fairly thick, you can see that. So what I'm going to do, I'll take a few passes. I'm going to come straight down. I'm going to go straight up. I'm going to come straight down. I'm going to take all this out and just kind of show you what it looks like when we're done. So with just a little bit of care and a couple passes there, you can see what this does. It's not going to mulch it down like a mulcher will into fine material. A lot of things will disappear. When it's really thick like this is very thick, what you have is you've got all these smaller trees behind it holding up whatever you cut, so that's going to make it come on your deck just a little bit more. If it's not that thick, it'll do a lot better than this. Coming down the dam, you're a little uneven, so I'd have to come back through here to get this as short as I could. You can get it to about 2.5, 3 inches and get it down. But it's a huge time saver, really transforms the way things look. So this isn't that thick. This is blackberry, some briars, there's a little bit of sumac. You can get a shot of that in a minute, William, show how thick it is. Stuff like this typically won't pile up on the machine. It's short enough that it's going to stay in front of it with that push bar. When I'm cutting something like this, I'm going to put that roller down. I'm going to try and go almost level. If I'm almost level, it gives those front blades a chance to cut at about the same height as the back blade. It's going to give you a better cut. Anytime you're doing normal grass or something, you can push through like this, or blackberry. That's what you do. To the extent it starts piling up on your machine, you may want to lift it up just a little bit. If you lift it up a little bit, you can keep some of that in front of you. It won't get as good of a cut, but it just takes the material, keeps it from piling up. You can go over it, the other way and get it cut. One thing I will mention, I know that there's no obstructions here in front of me. If I thought there might be big tree trunks or possibly boulders, pieces of metal, something that could hurt this machine, I would lean this back quite a bit so that I'm really cutting with the back wheels and I'm cutting a little higher. If I did that, that big flywheel would be the thing that would impact anything that I would hit, so it protects the blades. This is direct drive, there's no gears, very, almost indestructible. So as long as I don't come right into that with the blades and hit it with something else, even if it's a boulder, I'll get a lot of dust, but it's not gonna ruin the machine. So I'm going to go through here and cut some of this to show you how it works. Bigger trees. I know that Jenkins says up to 7 inches with this. I've taken out some trees that are bigger than that. One thing that I will say about this is if you're going to push over a tree, you get a lot more leverage with this using the push bar. If you get a little higher, it doesn't make you tip back in your skid steer quite as much. We're not going to push over a tree. We're going to cut this one right here, about 6 inches at its base. Pretty tall. So when I get into something like this, I'm going to go ahead and cut it a little higher first, because if I cut it higher, then there's less of a chance of all this falling back on me. And then I'll come back and I'll cut it again, and I'll cut it. Now, if you want to cut up that material afterwards, you're going to have to go over it and back drag it. It's not going to naturally go under the machine. But I just want to show you how we take out a tree. This kind of shows you how big this tree is. It's my hand. So that's pretty good size. I would say, 5.5, 6 inches. So as you can see, that takes a little bit more care. You need to take your time, you can't go full speed. You absolutely can take trees down like that, and if you get a shot of this, William, you see that there are some larger pieces like this, and what will happen is these branches will get down to where the blade can't pick it up. So a mulcher, forestry mulcher, would be able to grind this back and forth and do that really well. However, for speed and for versatility, this is much better. So for most clearing, this is the machine that I use, because that mulcher just takes an awful lot longer to do this kind of work.